Okay, we're back. Sorry about that little snafu. We were having a little technical difficulty, but we're here. Welcome to Now You're Cooking. It's Thursday night. We're doing a demo tonight, and Kelly, one of our friends here at Now You're Cooking, is going to make the icing for our cake tonight. We're making a really yummy chocolate cake. It's got cherries in it. It's got a whipped cream icing, and it's awesome. Before we get started, I want to make sure everybody knows tomorrow night is Bright Night here in Bath. We are going to have Laura Wilkinson here making some cookies and bundt cakes. She's our Nordic Wear rep. And you guys have seen her before. She's been here a few times. And she's awesome. So we'll be doing that. And there are going to be sales and people around all over town. Stores are all open until 8 o'clock. And it's going to be a really fun, beautiful night. There'll be carolers and all kinds of fun stuff. We're really excited to be able to do this again this year since we couldn't last year. So hopefully you'll come out and join us. And hopefully it won't be too chilly. We have next week, Heather is going to be making sugar cookies with a very special guest who wears a red hat, if that is any indication of who that might be. He's taking a little break from his other duties to come make cookies with Heather. And if you want to join us in doing that, we have these little baking kits. These are donated by the Bath PTA and Now You're Cooking. And there's a recipe and some ingredients and a cookie cutter. And if you want to stop by and grab a bag from us, we would be happy to hand them out. And then you can make sugar cookies with us next week and cut them up and cook them and have a really fun time decorating and making cookies. And then, the gingerbread contest. I want to make sure people are making gingerbread houses and sending in their pictures. We've had a few submissions, but we'd love to get some more. They can be traditional, just covered with candy, or you can be more elaborate, more creative, and do something a little more non-traditional. A church, city hall, your own house, a boat, anything you can think of, anything goes. And we will be drawing those names, the names of the winners, on the 23rd of December. 2 nights before Christmas. We'll also be making homemade eggnog that night. So that's going to be fun, and that's in 2 weeks. So get building, everybody, all you aspiring architects out there. So let's make some cake, Kelly.
Cake.
So with your icing, what kind of cake do you usually make?
It's a chocolate cake.
Is it a chocolate cake? Excellent. Well, that'll fit right in very well with what we're doing. The recipe is linked to the video, or it will be as soon as we get done filming. Like I said, I am not a good baker, but this cake comes out perfect every time. It's really moist, really chocolatey, and really fabulous. So you should try it if you don't have a favorite cake recipe. So I'm going to add 2 cups of flour. Just show you how to mix this up. 2 cups of flour going in. And then I have 2 cups of sugar. 2 cups of sugar. I should probably look at my recipe. Okay. 2 cups of sugar. I have got 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. I like the dark. This is a Hershey's dark. You don't have to. You can use any Ghirardelli. Any of the ones out there are fine. So that's going in there. And then I have baking powder, baking soda, and salt in here. And those are my dry ingredients. And those are all going right in the mixer. This is our lovely and favorite Smeg. And Kelly brought in her hand mixer from Smeg, which is really adorable too, and that's what she's going to use to make the whipped cream icing. So I just want to mix that all together so that it's all incorporated before I add the liquid. And that's what I'm going to do now. This is 3/4 of a cup of milk. I have 1/4 of a cup of coffee. This is actually espresso, so it's going to be nice and strong. You're not going to really taste the coffee, but it helps bring out that really good dark chocolatey flavor. So I'm going to add that to my milk. This is not the prettiest looking thing here, but it's good. I've got 2 eggs. And I have 1/2 cup of oil. And this is avocado oil. You could use olive oil, but it's going to add a little bit of an olivey flavor. I prefer canola or grapeseed or, avocado oil. And I'm just going to whisk that up so the eggs they don't need to be super whisked, but just enough so they're not whole. And then I'm going to turn on my mixer on a low. And I'm just going to slowly pour this in and let that mix in. Surreptitiously looking at my recipe to make sure I didn't forget anything. Make sure I didn't remember anything.
Make sure you don't remember anything.
That's more typical of the way I bake. And then I have 1 cup of boiling hot water. Can you see how nice and thick and dark and chocolatey that looks? Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to add this also pretty slowly. And because the batter's pretty thick, I'm really adding this slowly because otherwise it's just going to slop all over the place and Kelly's going to get all chocolatey and we don't want that to happen. At least not yet.
Or do we?
Or do we? Maybe she wants to be covered in chocolate. Hi. Oh, I love to cook like this. Okay, so that is all of my ingredients. I'm going to turn that off briefly. And I'm going to just make sure that everything on the bottom is mixed in. The sides are good, but the bottom, sometimes the thick stuff stays at the bottom. And I'm just going to give that one more little whirl. I'm using the paddle attachment, as you can see. And I'm not going super high. You don't need to worry about over mixing this. I don't think you can over mix cake batter. Would you agree with that?
I found that to be true.
Yeah, and you bake more cakes than I do. All right, just get these things out of the way here. All right, I have 2 9-inch cake pans. I put a little bit of butter on them. You want to make sure you get into the corner or the seam there around the edge. And then I put a piece of parchment in there. Helps the cakes come out a little bit more easily. And I also just put flour on around to stick to the butter, and that helps it a little bit too. And there is a chunk of something there. So I'm just going to let this mix one more moment here. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. Okay. We're calling that done. You can weigh these if you want to. It's probably the better way to do it. The cakes I baked yesterday, one of them's quite a bit thicker than the other one. You'll see in a minute. It doesn't really matter that much. You just want to make sure if you have one that's a little thicker that you're cooking it enough, baking it enough. Is that going to stay there? Maybe. And so I'm just going to eyeball this. And we want these more or less even. And these are just going to go into the oven at 350. And they're going to cook for about 18 minutes. And if you have small children or large children that really like chocolate, they can lick the spatula there. So these are going in at 350 for about 18 minutes, like they said. And I'm going to put these both on the same shelf because they'll fit in this oven, and that way I know. And one of those is definitely deeper, but that's okay. We won't worry about that. All right, I'm going to get the cherries going, and then we'll go over to our friend Kelly. So I'm using Bada Bing cherries from Stonewall Kitchen. These are bourbon Bada Bing, and they're really good. They're not super boozy, but they've got a nice little boozy flavor to them. And what I did was I strained out the juice. So this is the juice. I'm using 2 jars. And what's that?
And destem them.
Oh, and yes, so this is the juice. These are the cherries that I destemmed, and I just cut them up a little bit just with a paring knife. And then I also reserved 12 nice looking ones with the stems on them that I'll put around on the top. And we're just going to bring this up to a good simmer. Try not to trip over my cord here. And we're going to add a little bit. I reserved some of the cherry juice, about 1/4 cup, and I have a tablespoon of cornstarch. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing with cornstarch is if you add this to something hot, it will like seize up and be clumpy, and it won't do what it's supposed to do. So what you want to do is add it to something cold. You can add it to milk or water, I think any liquid pretty much. And that's going to go in, and we're just going to mix that in. Now if I let this sit for a few minutes, it's going to separate, and then I'm going to have to mix it back in again before I mix it into my cherry juice. Now it looks kind of cloudy in there. It will clear up. It will not stay cloudy like this once it gets cooking. Let's see if I can get those chunks out. All right. And that is getting pretty warm. Just going to give it another moment. So let's talk whipped cream icing.
So this is a family recipe from a birthday cake that my husband's mother used to make for him. And when we got married, I took over the tradition of making his birthday cake. So,
Sweet. And you have 2 daughters. Do they always get this cake?
one of them likes it, and the other one loves it, but she prefers a cheesecake for her birthday. And their birthdays are kind of close, so
it gives you...
It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it works out. We don't want it too often.
Right. Well, or do you?
Or do we? I know. I only make it for birthdays, which is kind of funny because we all love it so much.
But it's kind of nice because it keeps it traditional.
Now it's special.
Yeah.
So we do a pint of heavy whipping cream.
And you chilled your bowl.
I did chill the bowl. I don't think you always have to, and especially with this new Smeg. I had an old hand mixer, and now I have this wonderful Smeg. The old hand mixer had a 1 whip, and this one has 2, and I don't think it would matter if it was chilled or not. I think it would do it no matter what, because it's just so powerful. I love it.
Wonderful. I'm going to interrupt for a sec. I'm adding my cherry juice has come to a boil. So I'm going to add, I stirred it up, make sure it's mixed in, and I'm just going to add that in. And I'm just going to stir that in. This, I'm not going to show you the whole thing. We'll get back to Kelly. But this is going to thicken up nicely. And so it'll be kind of like... sort of like a thick syrupy consistency, and then I'm just going to add my cherries in, but we'll do that. I'll do that separately, and we'll get back to Kelly. Thank you.
So this is the vanilla went into the whipping cream, and the confectionered sugar. That's a cup, and this is a 1/2 cup of cocoa, and I really don't do a whole lot to it. I just mix it. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see. And just start mixing it with the... Do it a little bit slow at first to get it together so it doesn't go all over you, which is not a bad thing, we've determined.
And if you've already splattered your cake batter all over yourself, you might as well just add some.
Right. And then put a cherry on top.
And put a cherry on top, exactly.
So just get it incorporated a little bit, and then you can turn it up. It's just as digital. I love it. It goes up, I think, to 9. I'm on 6 right now. It's just so easy to use.
So those retail for a little more than some of our other mixers, but you think it's worth it.
Oh, totally worth it. Yeah, totally.
And you get the extra power.
Yeah, and hand mixers they're not cheap if you want a good one. You know, maybe a little bit less than this. But I love it. I'm so glad I got it.
You haven't looked back.
And it's so cute.
It's super cute. We love the Smeg, the retro look of the Smeg.
Yeah. And if you don't want to commit to a big stand mixer, you want to start out smaller, then you can get one of these. This is not going to take long at all. And this is the one where now I just realized I've got 2 whisks. I have 2 daughters. Now no fighting over the whisk because they could each get one.
Do they still like to lick the whisks?
Of course.
PSA,
well, it depends on whose birthday it is.
Make
Who's
sure,
ever birthday, that's who would get the whisk.
And make sure that the mixer is unplugged and you remove the whisks before you start licking.
Correct. Yes.
PSA, little PSA.
Yeah, especially with 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I mean, that's all there is to it.
That looks beautiful.
I'll try it.
All right. Thank you so much.
So
So we're going to, would you actually put some of that right in here for me?
I will.
That would be lovely.
I'm sitting on my cord. It starts going.
Thank you so
Are you going to hold it?
Well, I was going to let you, but that's
Oh.
okay. We obviously didn't practice this ahead of time.
It's all right.
Maybe just one more scoop. Maybe just one more scoop. There we go. Perfect. That'll be perfect. So notice I fold the sides of the bag down. That is so that when I fold it back up, I'm not getting chocolate all over my hands. So what I'm going to do, so this is my thicker cakes. I made these yesterday. I let them cool overnight on a cake rack with a cloth over them. And then this morning I just wrapped them nice and tight in plastic wrap. You can make them a couple of days ahead. You can even make them way ahead and put them in the freezer and just get them out, let them defrost most of the day at room temperature. Oh, that's so lovely to work with. I am just putting a not very neat barrier around because I'm going to put my cherries in and I don't want them to go falling off. So that is there. And normally I would want these to be a little cooler before I put them on, but it'll be okay. It's going to melt the whipped cream when I put them on, but and you don't need to use all the juice. You just want to have some syrup there. It'll soak into the cake a little bit too. Definitely want to make sure I get all my cherries. And I just cut them up like they're halved and quartered. Just so that everybody gets some chunks of cherry. Ooh, look at that. It's already making a mess. What a surprise. Okay, then I'm going to take my other piece, and I'm actually going to put this one upside down. Sorry, I'm tripping over my cord. I'm going to put this one upside down so we have a nice flat top. Okay, may I? Mm-hmm. You trust me? Mm-hmm. I've got her fooled.
I'm glad this is being used for a different purpose than the birthday cake. This is nice.
Yeah. So what I often will do when I'm making this cake with, if I were not using the bourbon cherries, I would add a little bit of kirsch, which is a cherry liqueur. Not super lot of it, but just a bit to the whipped cream, and maybe also to the cherries. Okay. And now I'm just going to try to evenly spread this out. And it's going to go over the edge a little, which is just fine. But you're all wondering why I don't own my own bakery, because I'm so good at this. And just spread it out nice and evenly.
Do you think those tools might be good stocking stuffers?
These tools right here would be a great stocking stuffer. So this end is silicone. You can use it to scrape out like a mustard or mayonnaise jar, jam jelly. You can also use it on a nonstick pan for making scrambled eggs, that sort of thing. And then as you can see, the other end is just a spreader. And they come in two lengths. This is the longer one.
This little vanilla too would make a
Oh, that vanilla would be awesome too. That's a Mexican vanilla. We have several different kinds of vanilla here. That Mexican vanilla is great. We've been carrying that for a long time. What do you think, Kelly?
I think it's great. Perfect.
I don't know if I'd say perfect. I appreciate that. That's very nice. We'll go with great. I'll accept great.
I think it looks really nice.
Pretty even. Mm-hmm. And then you can lick that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to go 1, 2. We're practicing our counting today too. I'm going to make 12 little rosettes because that's how many cherries I saved out. 12 slices of this. They're going to be very large slices, but it's a really yummy cake. So, all right. So for an amateur, I think this is a really nice looking cake. I'm going to plop our cherries in here. It's really delicious. As you can see, it's pretty quick to put the batter together for the cake, get them baked ahead of time, and then it's really, 20 minutes or so to get everything else done. Although, like I said, you want to cool the cherries off. They'll be better if they're cool.
And the cake.
And the cake. Make sure the cake's cool too. And voila, we can take a paper towel or our finger and neaten the plate up a little bit. And that is ready to cut into and serve.
Love it.
Do you want a slice?
Maybe that's the new birthday cake.
Maybe that's the new birthday cake for your daughters and your husband. So that is our really delicious chocolate cake, and it really is really delicious. This is with the chocolate whipped cream. Thanks to Kelly. Thanks for coming in and showing us how to make that. You can use just regular white icing, white whipped cream. You can make a buttercream, whatever you like to do. Whipped cream's really, really quick and easy to make. Tomorrow night, Bright Night Bath. That's Friday, December 10th, 2021. And it's from 5 to 8, so come see us tomorrow night. Next week, come see Heather and her special guest, and come pick up some bags from the Bath PTA. And then we'll see you on the 23rd for eggnog, and we'll be drawing the winner of our gingerbread contest that night. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us.